Hello, welcome back to Hazel Jane Tarot. Today we're going to be talking about my favourites from October and November 2022. I'm very conscious that the last video I posted was my favourites for August and September. I haven't been posting very often, obviously, over the last couple of months. So if you're still here, you've clicked on this video, you're going to have a chat in the comments maybe below. Thank you for hanging around. I really enjoy those conversations that we have, and I am very grateful to all the people who have subscribed to my channel and continue to do so despite my infrequent output. So thank you for watching. Okay, so obviously I haven't been putting as much time into the YouTube channel recently, and I must say that one of the things I've been spending a lot of my free time, which I don't have a lot of on, is my study of Irish, which you'll know if you've watched my channel before. I have been doing over the past couple of years. I've been getting progressively more serious about it, and as I've been acquiring more language, obviously a lot more reading and understanding is possible. So that's a big part of what I've been using my free time on, instead of maybe making YouTube videos. But I'm still around. I'm not planning to disappear completely. And one of these days I will make a video on the resources that I've been using to study Irish for anybody who might be interested out there. So through October and November, I have only really been using one tarot deck, and that is the Wildwood Tarot. Now, I did attempt to sign up to the hashtag DropHim78 and I joined that group on Facebook, but I haven't been able to keep up with the pace of studying a new card every day. Although the approach, and I'm sorry I can't remember the name of the channel who facilitates that whole challenge, her approach to analysing and approaching the cards is really interesting, where you think about what your prior knowledge about each card, and then you look at a particular symbol or idea that jumps out at you from the card, and then you look at how the card manifests for you through your day, or what you learn about it through the day. Or you can pull other cards from another deck to help clarify the meaning of the card. It's a really interesting approach, and I just haven't had time to really give it the focus. But I have been sort of progressively working through reading about and studying this deck, the Wildwood Tarot, kind of keeping pace every week or so, every week or 10 days, checking in with that challenge to see where they're up to, and then trying to catch up, basically. Some sort of structured study, I think, has been necessary with the Wildwood Tarot, because it is quite different from a standard Rider-Waite-Smith. And I do quite like that, a deck that takes its own angle on things. So I've got the guidebook is by Mark Ryan and John Matthews, and the sort of deck concept. And I understand it's a reworking of an older deck called the Greenwood Tarot by Mark Ryan. And then this is sort of a newer version of it, but it's been around for years. It's mass market deck. It's easy to get. I got this in a trade. I also have this book, A Year in the Wildwood by Alison Cross, which is I think self-published, but available on like the likes of Amazon Print on Demand, and I was gifted it for my birthday, and it's been a really good companion. The Wildwood Tarot guidebook, the language is maybe a bit more conceptual sometimes, a bit more abstract, and the Year in the Wildwood sometimes brings it down to like journaling prompts, real life applications of the card meanings, which is kind of useful. So I think they complement each other well. And there is an introduction to A Year in the Wildwood written by, I think, John Matthews. So the creators of the deck know about this book and have endorsed it as, so it's a really useful companion. It has that lovely soft cover, which I like. So I'm sort of working through both of those books, and I don't normally count guidebooks as books that I've read on my kind of reading total, because I never read the whole guidebook. I just dip in and out, but I'm attempting to read both of those guidebooks in total. as companion to the Wildwood Tarot. So I will do, I guess, a proper video on the Wildwood Tarot at some point, like a proper deck review when I've finished working through it. But you can see that the imagery is, it's by Will Worthington, who also illustrated the Druidcraft Tarot. It's slightly less cartoonish than the Druidcraft, which is slightly more rounded and brightly coloured art style. This is a little bit more the quality of maybe coloured pencils, in terms of the colour density at times. It's not quite as, it's fantastical as well, but it has a slightly more, I don't know, just a slightly grittier quality to the art. It's hard to explain what I mean. But one of the things that is kind of different about this deck is that the court cards are all animals or like creatures. So there we have the Page of Stones as a lynx. And some of the minor arcana go quite a different direction. So like the Two of Arrows there, that's very similar to what you might know in the Two of Swords. The Three of Arrows there, again, very like the Three of Swords. But then the court cards are quite different. Like the Three of Bows there, so that's your Three of Wands, which normally in the Rider-Waite-Smith is presented as somebody on a cliff looking out to sea, waiting for the ships to come in, a project that's already in motion, you're at a point of fruition. Here we have fulfillment as a keyword, but a very different sort of image of a forked path, and which way are you going to go, and this person maybe an advisor or at that fork in the road, somebody stopping you. So they're very different, and yeah, I think it would maybe a deep dive deck into this deck. If anybody's interested, do let me know. I can come back to it when I'm finished working with it, but I've been using this deck pretty much exclusively for the last 2 months for my own readings, and I've really only been reading once a week, for a sort of week ahead reading. I've been using the Wildwood Tarot in companion with the Wisdom of the Cailleach Oracle. So the Wisdom of the Cailleach is by Jane Brideson, who's an Irish deck creator, and this is an independently produced oracle deck. I got it a bit earlier in the year, and it is gorgeous, and it as a companion with the Wildwood Tarot, it works really well. So I've been using this oracle as a centerpiece of a 9-card box spread. I think I showed you in the last video of my August-September favorites the way I was using that spread with a different deck. So what I've been doing here is pulling one oracle deck for the center of my reading and reading the little entry in the guidebook for it. And then I have been putting 8 cards around, 3 above, 1 either side and 3 below, and reading that as a 9-card box spread, but with the sort of overriding message of the oracle card in the middle. And then I've been leaving the oracle card out on my little easel on display. The pictures, as you can see, are beautiful, kind of haunting and very much this time of year, with the leaning into the season of Samhain. So in the Irish language, Samhain is the month of November. Samhain in the Catholic Church, or November, is the month of remembering the dead. So one of the things I've done this month, I started on Ihahaina, Halloween, is to put out the memorial cards, which is a tradition in the Catholic Church in Ireland, where when someone dies, you get a little card with a picture of them and some prayers and their dates on it. So I have those for my grandparents and some other family members, like aunts and uncles who have died, and I display those on a little table for the whole month of November, and keep coming back and thinking about them and talking about them through the month in a kind of conscious way. So also there was some lovely times celebrating Halloween with my daughter. This was the first year that we were able to go trick-or-treating, knocking on our neighbours' doors and collecting, getting some sweets, which she thought was unbelievably exciting. And it was good fun. We decorated our house, and then we had sweets for the neighbours' children when they knocked the doors. That was lovely. And we also went to a pumpkin patch at a farm on a really, really wet, cold old day, and had a brilliant time as well at that. So doing those things, sort of celebrating the season and the turn of the seasons into the winter, was really, really enjoyable. I've been baking a little bit, which I don't normally do. So I got out my granny's old recipe for scones, and have been baking a little bit, which was nice. And also leading into, not, I don't know how this happened, but just working with the wisdom of the Cailleach and just pulling one card a week from this deck. Like, look how powerful that shapes the land is. It's amazing. Her navel. I find myself having conversations with older female friends about the menopause. I find myself reading a memoir called Haggitude about growing older. I find myself watching Grace and Frankie season 7 finally. I'd previously watched all the seasons, over the last few years, and enjoyed the show, and it's a show I enjoy with my mum as well. And yeah, hadn't really got into the final season, but finally here I was watching Grace and Frankie, which, if you're not familiar, is a Netflix comedy series with older women as the main characters. And I love Frankie's style, her clothing, her hair. I mean, I don't want to grow old into her. I would like to look like that right now. But yes, those sort of, those characters. And also, what else? There was something else. Yes, I found myself just recently, I've been reading a book by Mary Wesley, who is an English writer who wrote books when she was quite elderly. Like, I don't think she got published until she was maybe 80 or something like that, but she writes books about World War II, about that time. And I've found one of her books I'd never read before in the library, so I've been reading that. So without really consciously choosing to lean into that, this card's come up for me a few times, working with the Cailleach Oracle through the months of October and November, has brought in some of that Cailleach energy in different ways, and, as I say, through my reading, TV, conversations even. And that has been really interesting. I do want to keep working with the Wildwood Tarot because I feel like I'm not finished really understanding it for now, but I also am feeling a pull to work with something a bit brighter. And as we're leaning towards Christmas, it's now getting into that season here where I've been singing Christmas music. We've been to the Christmas market. We're starting to get, the decorations will be going up soon. And I feel like I want to lean into something a bit brighter. So I might not continue to work exclusively with that through December. So Christmas in Irish is Nullag. And the month of December is also Nullag in Irish. So there you go. I did use a couple of other decks for a one-off reading that I did for a friend. And just given the nature of the question that the friend raised, I decided to use this oracle deck, the Healers of the Earth Oracle, which I haven't used very much, but got a couple of months ago through a buy-sell trade group. So the spread I used was quite useful, and the reading really resonated with my friend, which was great. But the idea of the reading was, I'd worked on a sort of release and bring in spread. So I had one card for what was, passing out, and one card for what was coming in, from the Healers of the Earth Oracle. Obviously, this is not what she got because that's private, and I'm just pulling these cards out at random. And then I used my Super Lunaris Tarot, which, if you've watched over the summer, I got as another secondhand purchase and used loads and absolutely love, and have been promising to do a full review of and haven't got round to yet. But so I pulled then 3 cards on either side of the oracle cards to give a broader message. So the artwork doesn't exactly harmonize, but the messages really did. And I just really love the Super Lunaris Tarot to work with. It's really nice and clear, and to someone who's maybe a tarot novice, if you're giving a reading to somebody who's not familiar with tarot, I think it was a great choice. I'm really glad I picked it up for that particular reading. It has a magical feel, which I think is nice when somebody gets a tarot reading, that they feel that it's still got that, special quality. But it's clear, and the images are narrative, and anybody could start to interpret and intuit from these images what the mood and ideas are in the cards. And then obviously it's a beautifully modern and diverse take on the Rider-Waite-Smith as well. So it's just, lovely. Love it. Loved pulling that out and working with it again. And definitely it is a firm favourite at the minute. So those are the decks that I worked with through the months of November and October. I did get one new deck. Anybody who maybe watched my previous favourites and knew that I got a couple of other decks that I hadn't opened yet. The Mysteries of Magdalene Oracle is still in the plastic, as is the Arcanum Tarot that came with the Total Tarot magazine. Those magazines are still in the plastic. I'm keeping them still for someday when I'm feeling the urge for a new deck. But I did get one new deck arrive through the months of October and November, and this was the Tarot of Oneness, which I had backed on Kickstarter, and this is a deck by Robin Voisey. So I was delighted with this when it came, and I haven't used it yet. But when I say I feel the urge to work with something more colourful as we come up to Christmas, to Nullag, I think this might be the deck that gets worked with. It has real summery vibes. The colours are so bright. But Christmas is all about the light and the darkness, isn't it? So this deck is just gorgeous. And I was going to do an unboxing, but I just thought, I'll just open it. I enjoyed unboxing it myself. Look at that bunny in the bottom of the box. I literally squeed when I saw it. I was like, oh, so excited. It's so cute. And what was fantastic was the creator followed up with, there were some extra little bonuses to do with the Kickstarter campaign, and they arrived separately in an envelope, which the creator had to post herself, I think. And one of the things in it is a sticker of that little bunny rabbit. So I am holding out to find somewhere lovely to put this gorgeous little bunny rabbit. And then there's a couple of other stickers. There's a bookmark. There's a replacement for the moon card, which I've looked at them side by side. I can't figure out why. If you got this deck, maybe do you know why she's replaced the moon card? And then there's a spread, and there's also 2 beautiful art cards or postcards, which have that gorgeous velvety feel, which is lovely on a book cover and lovely on a postcard or an art print. Not so nice on a deck because you can't shuffle it. This deck does not have that velvety rose petal finish. This deck has the absolutely that sound. I love that sound. If you were with me when I was talking about the Spirit Keepers Tarot, it has this sound as well. This really lovely matte cardstock with the edging, and it just makes that noise. So the Lovers, there's a choice of which Lovers card you want to use, but both are in the same bright magenta. The colours are actually more intense in reality to the naked eye than they are coming across on camera, because whatever way the sunlight's hitting them, and it seems a bit darker. So you can see they're kind of point of view cards. They are zoomed in very close on some item. So there's Temperance, and we've got 1 foot on land and 1 in the water, and we've got the Angel's Feather, and the symbol from the chest of the angel in the Rider Smith. So we've got these little details, and you can see it's still in order, and I haven't shuffled it, I haven't looked at it in any great detail yet. And then there are these extra cards. So we've got higher self, life force energy, oneness, present moment, synchronicity. I'm not sure yet whether I'll work with those cards or not, but it's just a lovely deck. It's very colourful, and it's modern, and it's working with those archetypes. Now the court cards, just quickly show you, have moved away from page, knight, etc. in, I think, a really interesting way. So the page is the inspiration, the knight is the action, the queen is the spirit, and the king is the embodiment of that energy, of that suit. So I think that's really interesting. It's got this peach edging, matte edging. Oh, it's such a lovely deck. So I was really happy with that Kickstarter when it arrived, and the little extras. It's got a full colour guidebook. I have no idea if it's still available, but Robin Voicey is the creator of that deck. So that is, again, a brand new deck that I have at least taken out of the plastic. I don't know if it was in plastic. I've unwrapped it, but haven't used it at all yet. So that was my new deck. I did find actually that I went to I went into a few shops that sold things like decks, and incense and crystals and all that over the last couple of months. And I just didn't want anything. I feel like I've got a really nice collection of decks now, and there is a video coming up, which I'll definitely do towards the end of this year, where in December I will make a video of all the new decks I've got this year, and we can have a look maybe at what my favourites are. I'm also going to do another collection review. I did this time last year as well, where I looked at every deck I'd used throughout the year, and then I also looked at my collection and all the decks I hadn't used throughout the year. And it'll be interesting to do that again, to see are there any decks that have gone a second year without me using them at all, if I still want to hang on to all of those decks. Me having not used it this year is no reason necessarily for me to get rid of a deck, I don't think. I have plenty of books that I didn't read this year, but I'm going to keep them. But that's definitely something to, I'm going to have a conversation with myself, and I'll probably include you guys in it too, about what decks to keep and what to get rid of. Some other favourites, I had 2 lovely experiences in the theatre through October and November. I went to see this show, Propaganda, a new musical, which is by Connor Mitchell, who is a Belfast-based composer, and this was a professional production in Belfast's producing theatre, the Lyric Theatre, and it was really good. The quality of the performances, the singing, the staging was really interesting. Really, really interesting and enjoyable show. I was glad I got to see this. It wasn't fun, it wasn't a happy show, as I'm sure the title might suggest. It was set in a sort of post-war Berlin, and it was quite intense, but a really, really quality piece of theatre. And I also saw another play in the Mac Theatre in Belfast as well, called The King of East Belfast, which was another really interesting local writer, a great piece of theatre. So that was great. And haven't read a huge amount over the last couple of months. As I say, I've been spending a lot of my free time studying, but I did listen on Audible to The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell, which was a really interesting and beautifully written novel. If you like writing that's very descriptive. It's definitely not fast paced. It was very descriptive and beautiful, beautiful sentences, that sort of thing, but a good story as well. So that was probably the best of the books that I read or listened to over the past couple of months. So I will say farewell for now. I hope I'll be back again the before it's my December favourites. I have some ideas for videos over the coming month as we round up the year. It's hard to believe it's December and the end of 2022, um, which has been a better year, and I hope it has been for you too. But anyway, I'll say farewell for now, and I'd love to have a chat with you about any of the things we've talked about today in the comments below, and I'll see you back here again hopefully soon. Bye.